Hello, welcome to Bub's World. I'm your host Bub. Today we're going to get into some collectibles and some comics. All the stuff I picked up from the Cumberland Con 2024. I was a vendor at this con. We'll talk about how that went just briefly, and then we'll get into the haul. So let's see how it did.
You're watching Bub's Comics, Bub.
All right, so here we are. We're in the room. We're in the old comic room. We got this different angle again, so I hope you all enjoy that. Basically, I went to the 2024 Cumberland Con in scenic Somerset, Kentucky. It was small, but it was good. It's one of the best run cons I think I've ever been to. It was very smooth. Every convention that I go to, there's always some angry vendors, some angry customers, and if they had it, and they're always very vocal and loud and screaming across the convention floor and all kinds of stuff. So if this had any of that, I missed it. Like, basically that's how I choose to look at it. If this had any of those things going on at this con, I didn't see it. So that's all I'm asking. Just don't make me see it. So it did very good. It was a half paranormal, half comic convention. So it had a very different element and feel to it. I'm not a paranormal enthusiast or any of that stuff. I don't get into all the crypt tips and all that stuff. However, there were plenty of people there that were into that. I don't think that there was a real mix. Like, there was a blend of people there, but it wasn't like, I didn't see anyone that was a paranormal type person also hunting comics. And I didn't see anyone that was hunting comics that stopped at any other booth except the comic booths. So it was kind of interesting to have these two blended, but more foot traffic, that was fine. And in that town of Somerset, there's no active comic shop in that town right now. They lost their LCS just about a little less than a year ago. It was less than a year ago. So they lost their LCS for whatever reasons. I won't get into all that. So what happened was that they had this big convention. They had it last year. I wasn't able to attend. This year I was able to attend. I know some of the guys putting it on, they were gracious enough to ask me to join in and sell some books there, so I was happy to do so. There was also a vendor from Richmond, Kentucky, who runs a shop up there, so lots of good books there. Picked up some books from him. And then there was a more local vendor there as well, selling a lot of books too. Had lots of really low-grade keys. I had to hold myself back because I already have a bunch of low-grade keys, and these would have been doubled low-grade keys, which, one thing I've learned about buying low-grade keys is you can usually only sell them for the same price that you bought them for. There's just a floor to some keys where it's hard. You might get a really good deal on the key, but then you end up turning around and the best you can do is sell it for the same deal you got. So at least that's been my experience with that. So I stopped. I did that a year ago. I didn't do that at all this year because it just hasn't worked out for me, trying to sell those keys back. But they'd have been good for like mystery boxes. So if I was a kind of channel that did a lot of those things, then maybe I would have picked some more of those up. And maybe someday I will. I don't know. I haven't had a sub contest since the low hundreds, so I don't do too much of that. But let's get to the cons. A great con, Cumberland Con 2024. Next year they're moving to an even bigger venue, so hopefully they'll do well. If I have any stock left by then, or if I buy any more collections, then I may set up again next year, or I may just show up and do a little con video. Next year, I think I'm going to do a lot more vlogs and con stuff and interview some cosplayers, things like that. So if you're into that stuff, stay tuned to the channel. There should be some of that next con season and rolling forward. So that's plenty of lead up for the stuff I got. First, we'll start with the comics because I know how y'all like the comics. So here is, this is called TMNT. So you got to be careful with how you put it in your filing cabinet. So TMNT Best of Leonardo is what this one is. So I already have Raphael and I already have Casey Jones, which were the two that I really wanted. And they have this negative space kind of look to them. And what these are like little mini trades, almost like tiny omnis of all the I shouldn't say a compendium, I guess, you know, but anyway, they're small versions of all the best stories. So it's like a best of album for each one of the characters in the Turtles, for the main characters. So there's that. I love the color. I mean, I just love the color on that. That blue is perfect, perfect, perfect. I wasn't going to pick these up. Someone had showed me, I want to say it was the April one, which is not very good, but there was one someone showed me and it wasn't very good, and I was like, all right, I'm not going to pick up the whole set. I'll just try and get lucky. Well, then the Raphael one ended up being the most expensive and hardest one to get. So that happened for a while. Then they came out with a toy that included these in the back of them. And when that started happening, then these were kind of like reprints at that point, but I don't know that they were distinguishable in any way. I'd have to check on that. I've never seen one of those. Like I've never thumbed through one, so I don't know if they're exact reprints. If you all know, if you're big Turtle fans, put it in the comments down below. Let me know if anyone owns one of those books that came in the back of the figures, if they are in fact exact reprints, if you're able to tell. Or if they change, sometimes they'll change the advertisements of those. So I got this one, super pleased with that. And then also they had Splinter. And by the way, I got these for $1 a piece. Old Bubsy was hunting cheap, because when I'm selling, I don't like to buy very much until the end of the convention when I know how much money I have, and I'm like, okay, how much of the money that I earned can I then turn around and spend back to the hobby? So here's the Splinter one. The hot pink is a little too hot. It should be a little more mellow. So I'm not digging the color that much, but overall, very cool. And I'm looking forward to reading some good Splinter stories in this. So these are all, like anything else, mostly gonna be reader copies for me. I'm gonna keep them, of course, because once I have the complete set, I wanna see them all, so that'll be cool. Then next up, we have the Shredder. Very cool. Now this color's perfect. I absolutely love this. So that is killer. Yeah, I really dig that. That is super cool. So love that, love that, love that. Now my wife was milling about the convention. They had some booths outside as well, which was pretty neat. I'd never been to a convention that had booths inside and outside the con floor. So that was different. I'd never seen that. And I had taken a dip out there and looked, and the food was great too. That food truck vendors were fantastic. So I went out there and saw a couple of things, and I had seen this particular thing, no price. And I was in a hurry, and I'm like, there was a line of people. I'm like, I'm not really gonna start haggling price at this point, or funny, how much is this? Oh, how much is this guy gonna pay me? So I left it alone. My wife was back out there. She saw it too, and she went ahead and got it for me. So, and it's a creature from the Black Lagoon. Look at that. Oh, look at that. He looks thirsty. He's got the little web hands. And he's got like a squishy head. Like he's kind of foam, made of foam. And then the back is like a hard kind of plastic attached to it. And it has a little hanger on there. So I don't know where this guy's gonna go. If I had a fish tank, I'd put him right over top of it. But I don't know what the heck I'm gonna do with this thing. But I thought it was cool that I wanted it and my wife wanted it, and now we got it. Look at that. Oh my goodness. What a handsome devil. All right, so we got this to put up in the room somewhere. Certainly for Halloween, we're definitely gonna make a Halloween staple out of this guy and put him up somewhere. I was thinking maybe in the bathroom. Put him like on the back of the toilet or something, just for the Halloween season. And then we might bring him back into the room somewhere here the rest of the time. So super happy to have that little fella. Now, there was a little guy. So it always has my heart when I see Lego figs. And the reason is because that's how I kind of ass-backed into this hobby a little bit some years ago. Of course, I collected as a kid and stuff. And I won't tell this whole story. You can go back into the annals of BUB'S World, formerly BUB'S Comics and all that. So you can go back into all that and find that information. But basically, the super short version of the story is that at one time I wanted to be a Lego vendor, a Lego minifig vendor at a convention. If any of you have been to Comic Cons, I'm sure you've seen Lego vendors there. There's always at least one table, sometimes two or three, of people just selling minifigs hand over fist to all the greedy little kids all around the table. So I wanted to do that. That was going to be my first booth at a convention. And so I had amassed a big stock. So anyway, long story short, I ended up selling all that off and getting into comics just for personal gain for my own PC. So I always have a fondness, and I often buy little minifigs when I go to conventions. And this little fella, he was building them right there at the table, of course. And he had 2 of the coolest minifigs I've ever seen. Here is Alien. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? I love the color. Now, I kind of wish, the only thing is that his hands don't spin. Like, it's like a solid molded piece. So I kind of wish that his hands spun a little bit. But that's okay. Very cool. Lots of pieces, easy to break and drop and everything. And, you know, Alien. Who doesn't love some Alien action there? Very cool. So I was digging that. So you get Alien, you got to get the Predator. And this one, oh, I was sold on this. Look at that. Isn't that cool? He's a cloaked Predator. And he is all clear, except for the yellow in his eyes. Look at that. Isn't that something? So he's got the yellow in his eyes, and he's all clear otherwise. And he's more of a traditional Lego. He has the regular torso, the hands are normal, and then he's got these claws clipped on the outside of them, just like a normal kind of minifig would have. But to get these as a pair, oh man, I had to. And he's even got the shoulder cannon. Really great attention to detail on these. So to get these as a pair, I absolutely could not resist. 2 for $5. I mean, this kid was blowing them out. So there you go. So we ended up getting those. So like I said, at the end of the convention, I had X amount of dollars. I didn't do too bad. It certainly wasn't the best convention I've ever sold at, but it wasn't terrible by any stretch. It was a good convention, and the booth price was fairly low. I'm sure it'll go up next year, as it'll probably go up every year like most of them do, to keep up with the crowds that they're having. And the bigger venue, you pay more for. And I think if we could attract a few more vendors to this one, I'm gonna work with the promoter some, I think, because they just did a really fantastic job, and it would be the closest convention to me. So I would like to invest a little bit into this convention myself personally, not financially, but if they'll provide any kind of the materials and handouts and cards, I would like to go, anytime I'm in a convention in Kentucky, I would like to go ahead and hand out some of these cards and say, hey, let's go. You know, come to the Cumberland Con and, you know, check out this con, you know, but I'll have to have booth prices. I'll have to know all that way ahead of time. So hopefully these guys get their act together and in gear early enough to do some of this. That would be perfect. So really looking forward to that. So after I was done with the convention, and if I didn't tell you the food was great, my wife was with me. We had a great old time. You can see a picture of my booth setup on Instagram. Follow me on there and you'll see that. So the food was great. Everything was great. We're finally packed up, leaving. And I was like, you know, I didn't end up spending a whole lot of money. I only spent $3 on comics, $5 on minifigs. I was keeping it real tight. But the day before, we had been to Walmart and I saw 4 pop figures on sale for $8 each, which is about as low as you're ever gonna get a pop figure that's decent. The one you would actually want, you know, in box, mint in box, you know, that's very, very rare that you find one for less than $5 that I'd be interested in. You know, maybe there's some Eternals. No offense to you Eternal fans out there. Anyway, they had all 4 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles original. Now, they call this television. So I want to say that these are largely based on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Nickelodeon original cartoon that aired back in the day. That's what I think they are. There's that. So, and also what I just loved about it was I remember having the figures as a kid. Look at that. Wait, cheese for the thumbnail? There it is. All right, so I remember having the figures as a kid, and the figures all had different colored greens. So here's my Donatello, and you can see the different colors in the greens. Boy, that really pops on this camera. Look at that. So different colors, and of course the box illustrates the different colors as well. But getting that Donnie there, Leo, shoot. Getting that Leo there. And you had to hunt a little bit because some of the Leos had bent swords. So I wanted to make sure that his swords were perfect, and they were nice and straight. Also, the same thing went for his size. They were some of them were a little bit curved. And there's my Donnie right there. Look at that dark green. If any of you had the original toys as a kid, you know what I'm talking about with this green. This green is such an olive green for Donnie. Just love it. Just love it. It was my favorite turtle as a kid because the color was so different. I just liked it. So very cool there. And then last, and potentially least, we got Michelangelo. Look at that. Looking pretty good. So I like the color on him. It's pretty cool. So, I was pleased with it. I was glad that this is what we ended up doing, and it just worked out. So anyway, this is what I picked up at the end of the con, just so that I could have something to show for it all. And I don't know where I'm going to put these things. I already have the cases for them and everything, but golly, the pops, they keep growing. There's almost nothing you can do. The more pops you see, the more pops you buy, and you just don't have room for all of them. I don't have room for all of them. This is how people end up selling off entire groupings of their pop collection. They just get rid of them all. And this is why. Because when you see one and then they come in sets and you're like, well, I can't just get one. I got to get the whole set. So that's what happened here. You got to have all 4 turtles. And in the run, I think it has Slash. Yeah, Slash is one of the groupings. So maybe I'll pick him up if I see him. But then do I need a Splinter and a Shredder? Oh my gosh. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. That's it. That's the haul. I hope y'all enjoyed that. Cumberland Con 2024 in Somerset, Kentucky was a big hit, I thought. And, all the vendors probably felt like they could have done more, but I'm sure some of them felt like me, I could have done less. So really, all in all, a nice, well-run con, and the future looks bright for Cumberland Con. That's what I have to say about this. So if you're in the area next time, follow them on Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. Cumberland Con is the name of it. It's in Somerset, Kentucky. You can probably find it and check it out. I think you'll like what you see. If you're into paranormal stuff, there's all that stuff. But if you're just in for a regular Comic-Con experience where it's vendor focused, not really about arts and entertainment as much, no wrestlers and stuff like that, although they may have one or two. But for the most part, it's very vendor focused. So if you're into that, like I'm into that, come out and check it out next year. I'm looking forward to it. And that's all. So hope you enjoyed that. We'll catch you next time. Remember, oh yeah, wait, where's Raph? We'll do Raph. Remember to buy a pop and keep the box. Bye-bye.
Now subscribe, you egg-sucking pieces of gutter trash. Now.